Hello, welcome to episode 8 of Pedalboard Preamp. Now, if you're unsure of the concept of this series, the idea is that the entire guitar tone exists on the pedalboard. So you see everything here, I have nothing going on in post. The only thing I'm going to add is a limiter at the very end. That's just for YouTube loudness and just to make sure that the video actually sounds good. Also, say what up to camera number 2. I had an old cell phone, decided to bring it in, see how that works out. So let's get into it. The guitar that I'm using today is my Dimebag Daryl Dean from Hell. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I have a few different Dimebag concepts that I want to share. First being the EQ pedal into, in this case, your amp, since we're using the metalcore as the preamp. Before I get into that though, guitar's going into the noise suppressor. That has a built-in effects loop, which I have all of the gain pedals, so these three right here, excluding this 10-band EQ. That does have gain on tap, but I'm not using that at the moment. I will demonstrate it in a second. So the first 3 pedals, those are going through the effects loop. That's going back into the NS2. Then it's going out into the 10-band EQ. Then that's going to the Muar radar. And speaking of which, check out my free IR video. I loaded up some of those IRs on there. You can learn more if you check out that video. One more thing on the noise suppressor. That is an old gate. I would recommend a modern gate. I was running into issues, and I'll demonstrate them later, but once you're throwing a bunch of gain at that thing, you start running into the option of, do I want to actually have this gate function as it should, or do I want it to start taking some of the tone away? And the more gain you throw at it, the more likely the second is going to become true. Another thing that's interesting about that, I was using a different guitar. I was using a guitar with EMGs actually, and then I switched over to my Dimebag guitar, which has passive pickups. And you would think that the guitar with EMGs would throw more gain into this thing, but actually, I'm finding out that the pickups in this Dean guitar are actually causing it to squeal more. I was forced to then change the settings on the NS2 just to accommodate. But before that, check out Pedalboard Preamp episode 1 to learn more about this setup. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to change these settings. This is just to show you that I actually have, well, technically a 4-channel amp that you're looking at. So if I turn this off, the guitar is just going into the IR. Okay, there's a little bit of gain on there, right? So there's your EQ. That's pushing this pedal. And like I said before, I had to turn the gain down because it was starting to squeal. Let me turn this off real quick. Hear all that noise. It steals a little bit of the tone. Now I have the Spectre Digital sidechain gate, but that would violate the rules of the series, and this is just fun. It's another challenge for me, and one thing to talk about. So, if Boss does end up doing a Mark II on this product, a more modern gate would be really cool. Right, so that wasn't supposed to be on. Okay, so let's start over with this. And that's exactly why we were hearing the distortion before. I have a microphone and a camera blocking me from that, so I didn't even see it. Okay, that's the clean tone. Right? We kick those on. Now I'm actually working on, spoiler alert, I'm actually working on turning this into a complete Dimebag rig. So piece by piece, that's what's happening here. The super overdrive, that's not being used in the video. That's just part of a different signal chain, and I have that wired in up there. So disregard that. But so you have your clean tone, and of course, in case you're curious about it, I know Tilly is, I don't know if you heard her, but you can switch the IR and get whatever clean tone, or essentially cabinet tone, you're going for. So that was one from Ola. This is a Bogren Digital IR. Here's another one. Okay, so you got your clean tone. Now those two, if together, I'm going for like a Randall solid state kind of tone, like the Dimebag tone. you can hear the gate isn't clamping down hard enough. That's why I had to bring back the distortion and the levels. I can demo some of that too. So it really kind of requires some dialing in. If you had a faster gate, that wouldn't necessarily be the issue. Moving on, the next concept here, I saw a video where Dimebag was talking about his pedalboard, and he had a Zakk Wylde overdrive on there, and what he was using it for was actually for leads, basically to give him some sustain. So the idea here is it's essentially a lead channel, running it after your amp. So you hear this rhythm tone, then when I kick that on, it's a completely different tone, and you hear that little bit of squeal in there. One thing with the noise suppressor, like I was saying before, and using this as a sustain pedal, essentially, or to add sustain, you want to make sure that your gate isn't clamping down and taking away what this thing is adding. As you can hear right there, the note dies out really quick. That's not desirable necessarily for a lead guitar part. So going back and dialing that in a little bit will definitely get you where you want to be. Let me try that out. Yeah, so the trick is to have the sustain, but also clamp down quick enough that you're not hearing it feedback. And like I was saying, this is an older gate, so it doesn't necessarily have all the controls that you need in order to accomplish that. It is possible, but you do end up clamping on your tone a bit. Moving on, now you have the 10-band EQ after the gain stages, and this can be used in many different ways. This first way I'm setting it up is as a fourth channel, so it's basically a new tone. And you could have it do whatever you want. It could do more of the lead tone if you want a slightly different tone. Maybe there's a different lead sound in different songs. Whatever the reason is, maybe you want to use it to shape the clean tone more, so you could kick these off. And it does that. Another thing you can do, because the 10-band EQ has more gain, it can be another gain stage. I got that NS10 a little bit faster. Feedback isn't fully going to go away with that pedal without taking some of your tone away. It's just with the high gain stuff, that's just how it is. So it's definitely a balance. I would recommend using it like how you see it, where I have the noise suppressor going into the super overdrive, and then that's going into an amp, and I don't have a ton of gain being thrown at it. Pretty sure that's how it was designed in the first place. But anyway, so the 10-band EQ, that has the gain and volume options on there as well. So you can add some more gain to this thing. You just want to make sure that you bring the volume down, because you don't necessarily want the volume boost. But if you do want the volume boost, that's another way to do it. That's another thing I didn't mention with this one, is because using it as like a quote-unquote lead channel, it has the level on there, so you could boost it a couple decibel from your rhythm. So if you need to jump out from the whole band, that's one way to do it. Get it to a more flat response, and you'll just hear the gain. But then having that 10-band EQ there means if you want to clean it up, any of those frequencies, or you want to boost any of those frequencies, you have that available to you. And then obviously having the IRs right on that IR loader, being able to quickly change IRs means the amount of tones you can get off this pedal board is a lot. That's going to be my quick video on this setup. So you got 4 channels right there. There's so many other ways to use this. You just got to be creative, come up with some ideas. I hope this inspires you to go pick up your guitar, plug some pedals in, and start ripping. Anyway, have a good day, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.